I apologize. So my name is Sibusisiwe Ngama, and I will be your host for this webinar, the Business Development for SMMEs webinar. And yeah, man, hopefully we're going to have a great time, and it's going to be a very insightful session as we will be with Omelele Mmbo from FNB. So I would like to have Koketso Pala, our head of marketing and communications, walk us through today's purpose and agenda. And yeah, I'll let her take the stage and take the floor.
Thank you, Spusi. Hi, everyone. So thank you again for joining us today and for being our guest for this. I know that most of you guys, some of you guys have been asking us at the session, so we're happy that we're able to bring it to you today. So as Spusi has already spoken, this is part of our continuity in the with you guys, but also obviously being able to then bring in some of our external partners to obviously be able to assist where we can in making sure that we obviously assist with growth of your business. So we will continue to obviously have other webinars. I know most of you have also asked for one, which we are planning. So we do have a marketing course that we're working on that we will obviously be sharing with you, but we will also have a webinar on how to market and grow your business from a marketing and social media perspective, PR, all of that. We're going to have a webinar very soon. So we will share the details for that one with you guys. And then with regards to the agenda for today and why we're here, we obviously have Omelele Mmbo, as he has already said, and he's here to obviously assist you guys in terms of how to grow your business, in terms of business development, but also as well as how to position your business for partnership opportunities, the value of being listed on the EPC portal and how you get on that, as well as FNB's support mechanism for small businesses in energy. So yeah, we are about to get on with that, but I'll hand over to Nonjabulo from our organization just to kind of give you guys a more in-depth intro, and then we'll hand over to Omi after that. You can take it over, Angie.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for making your time, or making time rather, to be on this discussion with us. We hope this will be an insightful webinar, which we obviously, as Nepoworx, that's what we aim for. So on my side, as the team mentioned, I'm Nonjabulo Sokela, and I'm the founder and CEO of Nepoworx. And primarily, Nepoworx is centered around ensuring that we capacitate not only just young people, but professionals, as well as small businesses, into making sure that they form part of the just energy transition, or rather the green economy. So overall, this session is dedicated specifically for small businesses or businesses that have, entered the renewable energy market, but want areas in terms of market access. So they want to know other avenues, how they can grow their businesses. And this is just a starting series. And we will be having other series that are dedicated to obviously your small businesses, be it you are an electrician, a plumber, and you are an IT specialist. So we will have all those various sessions, and you are able to book a session with Omi through our We Energy portal. I know some of you guys that are, especially our alumni, are registered on the We Energy portal. We will have a session on that in terms of how the portal works and how you can book a session with Omi, as well as the other mentors, to assist you in terms of growing your business and making sure that it is sustainable overall. So I do hope you do ask a lot of questions and you do engage. We do have a Q&A section on your screen, and obviously we have a chat session as well. And I think questions were shared before then, that people obviously that had questions prior to this engagement. So thank you on my side, and I hope that we'll see you on the next webinar as well. Do enjoy. Over to you, Koketo.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
You're muted.
Oh, sorry. I will now hand over to our main guest and speaker today, Omelele, so that he can also take over in terms of his presentation, and then we will take it from there.
Cool. Good day, everybody. I can't see anyone, but I'm sure you can see me. I'm going to beam up my presentation. Koketso, please just let me know if you can see it on that side.
Yes, we can see it. Thanks.
Awesome. I do want to start by introducing myself and saying that my name is Omi. The long version is Omelele. Welcome to today's session. I've been asked just to do a conversation with you around some of the elements that help you grow your businesses, but also just to talk to some of the alternative lending, alternative energy solutions that FNB offers, for example. I am from FNB. I'm a head of business development from an FNB perspective. Maybe if I park on this slide so you can see, I did try to dress down a bit so that I don't intimidate anybody from asking questions. So please feel free to engage me as you are able to on the side, and I'm happy to answer those questions at the end of the session. Today, my presentation is really going to touch on two fundamental elements which I think are critical for small businesses such as yours, who are looking to scale. No business starts and sets out to remain small, right? So the first element really is going to be around what are the tricks, what are the things we are learning from a banking perspective from the industry around how you grow your business. You know, what are the tricks, what are the pitfalls that people usually fall into? How do you avoid them in growing your business, right? And what maybe from a banking perspective do we look at to see if a business is desirable to the bank for lending or for anything that you might need from a bank, right? And in fact, that goes for your relationships with your partners and anybody who might seek to do business with you, right? So maybe we're going to touch a little bit on that. I will then transition slowly into what from an FNB perspective is on the table in terms of how we offer support to small businesses, but also how we offer support to personal clients who want solar, and where exactly is the opportunity for you guys in terms of where you can plug in and how you can also benefit maybe from helping your clients or your clients reaching out to us, and what are the platforms that are available. Obviously, I'm not going to touch on everything in this session. So if there is something that does pique your interest, please feel free to book some time with me so that I can then be able to walk you through maybe the granularities and the details around those elements. So some of the stuff I'll touch on today is high level. Okay, getting straight into it. Some of the challenges that are facing your business, and maybe I should have led by saying that I'm using two screens. So if you see me look away from the camera, it's not because I want to give you my good side, it's because I'm looking at my second screen, which is basically showing my presentation. So yeah, but so back to the slide. We do a survey with currently running businesses at different intervals of their life cycle, and we put together a top 10 nationally. This is not FNB who does it, it's the whole business community. And we try to understand the top 5, top 10 things that keep small businesses awake at night. And these are the top 5 in no particular order. Access to funding, right? All businesses want a little bit of access to funding, or maybe a lot of access to funding, so that they can grow, right? You want to buy machinery, you want a bigger place, you want to buy more stock, whatever the case is, whatever your needs are. Load shedding, which I think is very apt for today's conversation, since we are talking about alternative solutions, but you can see from what other businesses are saying is a problem or is a challenge in their space, that load shedding and energy instability is actually in the top 5, which means there's an opportunity, right, for businesses like yourselves to then, intervene, and how do customers then, fill this gap by approaching FNB to, to ask for solar solutions. Regulatory and compliance burden is amongst the top 5. If you are in an industry that is heavily regulated, for example, how do you overcome those? How do you get into those? Some compliance needs financial assistance. Some compliance is just too clunky, needs your business to be set up in a certain way. The consensus from the businesses was that regulatory and compliance burden is one of them. It could be tax, you never know. Theft and crime was actually in the top 5. And funny enough, it wasn't crime from people breaking into the business. It was actually theft and crime from inside the business. I suppose more the theft. It was theft from inside the business. So a lot of businesses were very concerned about the amount of stealing that their own employees were doing to cripple the business. Because due to lack of inventory management tools and stuff like that. So when you hear me maybe in later slides saying you need to get into the habit of of embracing technology, it's because those technologies, those things, those inventory management softwares and whatnot, they help you manage your stock so that you don't have internal pilferage and you don't have, you don't have these kind of problems. Crime in general, we know, is a South African thing. And depending on where your business is and what kind of valuables your business sells and how much cash you take, you will be at a higher risk for crime. And then the last one in the top 5 was access to markets. Now, access to markets mean I have a business, I'm getting business, or I want to get more business. I want access to more markets. I want to grow my business. I want to be available in Cape Town, Durban, wherever, and I want to have a bigger business. And the only way you grow your business is you need access to more markets, right? You need more clients coming into your business. Now, that conversation cannot be had on its own outside of access to funding, because if you suddenly go from 50 clients to 500 clients and they all need your services, you will need funding, because the amount of stock you need to buy to service 500 clients will suddenly be a problem in your business. The amount of employees, the amount of resources, machinery, if it's employees that you need to employ now to make sure that you cover that, is going to be a problem. So in a way, access to market is not a conversation on its own. There's no business that just needs access to market on its own. Access to market kind of has to go with access to funding, because actually, as you scale into the market, you need funding to subsidize, to actually help you get a bigger place, get more staff, all these things that help your business scale. But access to funding is not always funding from the bank. Sometimes funding exists in your own business and you don't really need to go make a loan from the bank. And some of the work that I do with businesses is that I show them and I teach them how to access funding within the business, right? If you are not running your business correctly, no amount of funding is going to help you with that problem. Because if we give you money or somebody gives you money, all you're going to do is going to take that million rand and go buy a Range Rover or go buy, a Ford Raptor, I don't know. The problem is not with the business. The problem is that the structures in the business are not working. So before we give you access to funding, before you go out into the market and you get more customers, you need to make sure that the structures within your business are right for you to scale. Here, we just talk about your business needs to understand what life stages you go through, right? At some point, you are a startup business. You have to start from somewhere, right? So you are a startup business and you need to understand what challenges come with being a startup business. Nobody really wants to lend to startup businesses because of the risks, that come with startup businesses. Everybody thinks their business is a great idea, and the people who lend money have to make a decision on whether that is the case or not. 2 years 2 years ago, all banks combined had to write off 12 billion rand in loans that they gave to people who thought they had great ideas, and those ideas fell flat. So that's why there's such stringent requirements around how you qualify for credit, because we need to properly vet that you have a good idea. So that's why there aren't a lot of people who lend or loan to start up businesses. There are some, but your business almost has to have a track record, to get to the point where you get the right kind of funding. And in those early stages, you kind of have to help yourself, as best you can. But it is important for you to understand whether your business is at startup stage, it's an early growth stage, or later growth stage, or you are approaching exit. Because if you're not aware of where your business is from a business life cycle perspective, you stand the risk that you will be the one holding your own business back. Right? So your business now needs 2 more employees because you're getting more business, but you still want to be the driver and the guy who does invoicing and, the installer and the electrician. You want to be everything to your business. You are essentially trapping your business in startup mode. And you're not allowing your business to grow. So over and above just knowing what kind of funding and what challenges your business will go through, it is important for yourself just to know what stage your business is in so that you can help your business grow and you don't trap your business in a certain stage. Now, for those who want to scale a business, and I mentioned earlier that there's nobody who starts a business with the intention of staying on. Nobody starts a spaza shop with the intention of it always being a spaza shop. Everybody has an ambition. It's innate. It's in human nature that everybody starts a business with an ambition that the business will one day become a multinational corporate or conglomerate, right? So there is innate ambition in scaling your business. And if you are onto the right kind of business, your business will force you to let it scale, whether you like it or not as the business owner, right? Yeah, and some of that you just need to be aware of, because a business that is scaling, whether it is scaling because the owner of the business is ambitious or because the business itself is such a good business model that it's blowing up, it needs you, the owner, to actually be aware of where the pitfalls are and how to navigate that space, because that is where most businesses fail. Most businesses don't fail because there is lack of business. They fail from the indigestion of trying to grow incorrectly. So you're either growing too quickly, or you're growing too slowly, or you've mistimed, or you have not capacitated yourself correctly for the growth that's happening in your business. Right now, here I just put call it the first 6 laws. I'm not gonna go there. They go all the way up to 12, but because I'm on a time meter, I'm not gonna go all the way to the 12. I just want to touch on the first 6 that I think anybody who is starting a business that will naturally grow must be aware of. Now, there's the first 3 are the physics of failure, and this is where a lot of the businesses then fail, right? Because they don't know how to navigate these. And hopefully, you knowing these will give you something to think about how you want to navigate them. And the first one is the law of competition. Now, the law of competition basically states that if you have a business that is unique and makes a lot of money, there will be competition. Somebody is going to see what you are doing. They are going to copy what you are doing, and you're going to have competition, and the price is going to be reduced because now there's 2 or 3 or 4 other businesses that are now doing the same thing. So you're going to go from making a lot of money to not making a lot of money, because now your business has been duplicated 10, 20 times. And you see this all the time. You open a quarter shop here, you make a killing, all of a sudden somebody opens a quarter shop down the road. You see it with spaza shops. You see it with all kinds of businesses. If a business is too profitable and it's too good, the model is unique, it's in an area where, businesses abound and you are making a lot of money, naturally, the law says that somebody will copy your idea, and somebody will then clone your business and open a similar business, which means now you'll be competing with someone else for price, which means you will both be reducing price. Somebody else will come and you'll have a third business, a fourth business. And all of a sudden, from making 50 Rand profit margin, you are now only making 10 Rand, for example. Right, that's the first law. You need to understand it. So how do you keep your product differentiated? The second law is complexity. Complexity is the enemy of any business. Two people, a sibling, brother and a sister, they grow up together, they fight, they bicker. There is no complexity in that relationship. They understand each other. It's a brother and sister. But the minute the brother and sister get married, the one has a husband, the other one has a wife, complexity is introduced into the relationship. Now all of a sudden, they don't speak to each other because this one's wife said this to the other one's husband, blah, blah, blah. I'm just giving you an example of how complexity exists everywhere. The minute something goes from 2 to 3, complexity is introduced. The minute it goes from 3 to 4, more complexity. You go from being the only employee in your business to having 2 employees. Complexity is introduced in your business because now it's not just yourself you need to manage someone else. Then the more employees you introduce into the company, the more complex it becomes. You open a branch in Cape Town, but your office is in Joburg, complexity, because now you have to manage Cape Town while you're managing Joburg. It's a complexity doubles every time you add one more variable. And complexity is the number one enemy to your business. It's not to say you should avoid complexity. It's to say you need to understand which moments give you complexity so that you can then manage complexity properly, right? The third law is the law of size, right? The bigger you are, the more visible you become. And if you become visible, people will want to complicate and replicate the business model that you have. Then if I move over to the secrets now of the law of success, I don't really want to spend too much time on this slide, is law 4 says the law of simplicity. You can imagine it is the opposite of complexity. You want to keep your operations, your business as simple as possible. Simplicity is the ultimate goal that you want to go for in any business. As your business grows, you need to keep it as simple as possible. The minute it becomes too complicated, there's too many layers, there's too many processes where you get your supply and how you get your supply on site and how you price is too complex, your business becomes too complicated. You move away from simplicity, you stand a risk that your own business is going to frustrate you and you're going to fail. Then there's the law of capacity, right? How do you capacitate your business correctly? Right? You need to be good at identifying that now I need one more employee. Now I need a baki. Now I need somebody to manage my general workers or employees. You need to be good at identifying when your business needs the right kind of capacity so that you are not trapping your business in a life cycle, like I said in the earlier stages. And then the last one is just lifestyle stages, which I spoke about. Don't trap your business in any particular lifestyle stage. Allow it to grow. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but this is really just to emphasize 2 things. Any business, I don't care what kind of qualification you have or where you went to school or what PhD or doctorate degree you have, growing a business comes down to 2 things. You're either getting more customers or you are doing more with the customers you already have, right? So think of a supermarket. First, you want the guy to come and walk in and buy bread. You've got a customer because he came into your shop and he bought bread. And you want more customers to come and buy bread because you got more customers, your business is growing. Or you want the guy who bought bread to now buy milk as well. And you want the guy who brought the bread and the milk to now come and buy milk, bread, and these all groceries at month end. That's the trick. That's it. At the core of every complex strategy that exists, guys, there are only 2 ways to grow any business. You need to have a strategy around how are you getting more customers. And that could be going into new markets. That could be new channels, going from a physical store to an e-commerce store. That's new channels, new price point. How do you differentiate yourself in the market? What packages do you use? What do you offer from an installation perspective? What products do you offer that go well with what you sell, right? If you install solar panels, what else do you also offer that goes well with installing solar panels? Do you also do geysers or I don't know, I'm not an expert in it, but you need to constantly be thinking about how do you get more customers, right? how do you create that environment where you can get more customers? And the other line is, how do you cross-sell so that your existing customers can do more with you? Do you offer a service to clean the solar panels, to maintain them after, whatever? What else do you sell with them, right? To imagine my analogy around the guy who bought milk. Now you want him to buy milk and bread. That's why you get these stores. They have a 2-for-1 special if you go to Clicks or wherever, or they've got buy 3 for 100 rand. It's getting the same customer to buy more, right? Because you want to do more with the same customer, or you want to get more customers. Now, if the market is tight and getting more customers is difficult, your only option is to do more with the customers you already have, right? But if the market is still flexible, you can get more customers, you can do more with the customers you have. From a banking perspective, we do encourage businesses to be desirable. Now, this desirability thing, don't let it throw you off. But basically, all it means is, how are you running your affairs? Now, a lot of people treat this as though, it's different for businesses, and it's not. It's the same for business as for yourself. How you manage your affairs, your personal affairs in your own personal life, is basically how you should manage your personal affairs or your business affairs. That's it. It's how do you create resilience in your business so that when we score you or when we look at your business because you need funding from somebody, it doesn't have to be from a bank, they want to see that the business is resilient. How are you looking after yourself? Back to my earlier example, if you've got a habit of taking money and going to buy fancy cars, nobody's going to borrow you money because that's what you're going to do when you get the money. The problem is not the fact that you're not getting funding. The problem is that you do not have the right structures that support the kind of behavior that tells an investor that you would do the right thing with the money. Pretty much that it. And if you look at this slide on the right hand side, I'm hoping is your right as well. You've got the financial resilience element. Start with a strong foundation. I'm guessing you probably already have that. You've studied, you've got your PV green card, whatever the case is. But the kind of business you are in is something that you do well, right? Leverage technology. I've already spoken to that element. Make sure that if there's technology that helps you do the job better, you use it, right? Plan for growth. Already spoken to that as well. Capacitating your business correctly. Your business will grow whether you like it or not. You need to make sure you identify when it's growing so that you don't stop your business from growing. Master financial management. And this is not to say go and become a chartered accountant. This is just to say understand the cash flow that goes into your business and leaves your business. What's coming in, what's going out. You need to understand it because somebody will ask you whether you understand it. You need to master what's coming into your business from a financial management perspective. How much money are you making? How much are you paying out in expenses so that you know whether you're making a profit or not? Invest in continuous learning. I don't need to say more about that. If there's an opportunity for you to learn anything, learn it, right? If there's an opportunity for you to study something else, study it. As long as it helps build the credibility and augments the learning you need for your business. And then build reserves, invest. If you find yourself with surplus money that you don't know what to do with, invest it, put it away, let it earn interest for you, because that money then you can use later to scale your business, to invest, to buy machinery, whatever the case is, or you just earn the interest from that money, but always get into a habit of building reserves. These these are tricks that we don't just thumbsuck. This is what we have seen corporates, businesses who are corporates today. This is what they have done. So when we say these are the things we suggest to small businesses, we are saying if you too have ambitions to become a big company, these are the things you need to have on the back of your mind, right? Ensure that your credit turnover is credited to your business account. Those kind of things really just speak to visibility. I'm going to make an example. If somebody pays you 50,000 rand for an installation in labor fees to install, solar panels at his business or his home, and they give you cash, and you take that cash and you go pay salaries and you go buy more stock, you give yourself a salary and you pour petrol and you do all these things cash. The bank has no idea that you made 50,000 rand. Now imagine those 50,000 rands happening regularly, right? You might have a business that makes 10 million rand a year, but nobody knows it because the money comes in cash and it leaves cash. So when you then come to a bank and you say, I want to borrow 2 million because my business makes 10 million, you make it hard for yourself, because now the bank has to send you away to say, okay, well, you say you make 10 million, show me, right? Now, if that money was being banked into your bank account, and then you are using your bank account to pay the money out, you would need to prove to the bank that you make 10 million, because the bank can see 10 million came into your account. Yes, you used it to pay salaries and whatever you need to pay, but you don't need to prove to me that you made 10 million, right? That is why when you go to these big institutions now, they tell you we are a cash-free environment. No, 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 we don't take money, we don't take cash, put the money in the bank account. They have speed points. You must pay by card. If you bring cash, some will take them, some will take the cash, some don't like the cash. They would rather you pay, you do an EFT or you swipe your card. It's all to create visibility in their cash, right? So that the bank can see how much money, not just the bank, but their own leadership, right, can see how much money has been made. But also when they need to go and borrow 200 million or R1 billion from a bank, they have very little that they need to prove to the bank. Yes, we still need good financials and all those things, but if the bank can already see that this guy already makes 500 million, we can see it coming into the bank and we see he pays some money out, we can see he's invested a portion. There's very little you need to come and convince us of, because we already see it in the bank account, right? And that is what keeps your business going, because every now and then you will get an opportunity that will need you to get extra funding. And the only way to get that opportunity is that somebody will need to give you funding, because somebody will come to you and say, hey, I'm selling my baki. Do you want it for 100,000 rand? And you're thinking, whew, this baki actually goes for 300,000. This guy wants to give it to me, and this guy wants to give it to me for 100K. But you can't take that opportunity because you are not in good standing with the bank. Nobody's going to give you 100,000 rand. That's why you must always stay on the right side. I'm not going to talk to the other stuff around keeping your accounts up to date and make sure you don't miss debit orders and avoid arrears and keep your name out of the credit bureau. All those apply to your business as they apply to you as an individual. And by the way, as you as the owner of the business, you must be like that also. Don't think that because your business is not listed, doesn't miss debit orders, you as an individual can miss debit orders. There's no credit bureau for businesses. So when we look at your business, we look at the owner and how the owner conducts him or herself. And then we make a decision to say, okay, the owner looks like they know how to handle money. Then we pass that on to the business. There's no credit bureau for businesses. It's either history from your audited financial statements or it's the behavior of the owners in the business. So it's something to think about. I'm not going to dwell on this. This is just to show you what are the solutions that FNB offers small businesses from transact solutions. Every business needs to transact. It's a bank account, it's an online banking, it's Forex if you need to pay, or, you order stock from another country where you're using different currency. Those good things, it's speed points, it's online banking, you name it. Setting you up on e-commerce if you need e-commerce platform, and then we also know you need to borrow. So funding solutions, what kind of loans do you need? What kind of working capital solutions do you need? Cash flow management solutions. Then it's invest. If you need to put some money away, what vehicles can you use? It's not only 32-day notice, there's 48-hour, there's money on, money call account that you can use. There's all those kind of things that you can use. There's insure. Everybody needs insurance. It doesn't have to be comprehensive insurance for a business. If you can afford it, great. But it can also be small insurance. It could be group funeral for your employees. It could be business law on call. For example, we have a product called Business Law on Call, which gives you access to attorneys within the bank. They can help you read contracts, draft contracts, that kind of stuff, so that you're not signing stuff that you don't understand. You have access to attorneys within the bank that can read it to you and tell you what you're about to sign. They can make amendments for you. You can draft employee contracts. You've got attorneys you can call and they can draft employee contracts, tenant contracts, whatever, supplier contracts, all that stuff. You can get through the insure channel, and then connect SIM cards, devices, laptops, all the stuff you need to start a business or to change or update the stuff you have in your business. Then we get into now the stuff around alternative energy solutions from a FNB perspective, right? So from a business perspective, what do you get, right? We offer up to 50 million rand in alternative energies finance. So and repayments up to 5 to 10 years, and there's a budget plan, right, in terms of the loan, how you want the loan to be structured. For example, we've got clients who, when they buy a commercial property like a warehouse, if the warehouse costs 2 million rand, they then ask the solar finance to be loaded onto their property finance. It's like buying your house, except instead of just financing your house, in the home loan, we also include the cost of the solar on your roof. So you're not paying for solar finance separately, it's included in your home loan. It's the same for businesses, but it's called commercial property finance, so we put it under there. If in your personal capacity, it would be under your home loan, right? So you don't need to get it as a separate thing. You can add it to your home loan. And then obviously it follows the normal structures of any loan. There will be interest charged on it, and we'll structure it best we can based on how you want the loan to be structured, whether it's standalone or it's included in something. We even have a rental model where we come and we install the solar in your business, and you use the solar, and then we charge you, like Eskom will charge you for how much, how many, the wattage that you have used on our solar, right? So you do not incur the cost of installing the solar, but you've got solar, and then we will pay for the solar, we will get it installed, and then we will just charge you for how much you have used from our our batteries or whatever, our backup alternative storage. We also finance generators and the likes, right? So it's alternative energy, it's generators, and it's battery backup systems, right? And we usually say in the bank, if it's got a serial number, we will finance it. So it's all those things to do with your solar solutions from a business perspective, right? Now, how you should be looking at it is from two perspectives. One, you could be the installer, right? You could be the guy. Our clients, our business clients, will come to us, yourselves maybe, or other business clients. They'll come to us and say, FNB, we want to install solar in our business. We ask two questions. We'll say, do you have an accredited installer? Do you have your own installer in mind, or do you want us to find you an installer, right? Now, if the client says, I have my own installer, thank you very much, we don't have a problem. We will then help you with the finance. You can go and talk to an installer, and you can do it the way you want to do it with your installer, as long as they are accredited, right? A lot of the customers also come and say, I want solar, but I don't have any installer. Do you have installers? And that's where the EPC panel comes in, because we then look at, okay, which installers are registered with us, and where are they based? What size, installations have they done? All those good things, because we also make sure where the FNB reputation is involved, we want people who've got a good pedigree or good credit record, a record of installations, and making sure, the reputation is right. So we will then say, oh, okay, yeah, sure, we can loan you 1 million rand or 2 million rand, however much the client wants. It could be 100 rand, 100,000 rand. I mean, it could be 10,000 rand. That depends what solution, value they want. And then we will then put them in touch with somebody from our EPC panel, right? Our vetted suppliers. We will then send them their lead and say, we've got a client who's interested in this. Please go and sort them out, right? So you need to look at this from two perspectives. One, you could be in the EPC panel if you qualify and you are listed in the EPC panel, and you would get leads that way from FNB, right? The other alternative is your clients could come to you directly and say, I want you to install solar in my house or in my business. You would then go and quote them and say, okay, well, for your setup and whatnot, it's going to cost you 250,000. The client can then say, oh, I can't afford that. You could then help the client or point the client to FNB Finance. And you could say, FNB, here's a client who wants to install solar. Here's my invoice for 250,000 rand. Then we will deal with your client, right? and say, Mr. Client, you need 250,000 because essentially the loan is with your client, right? And then we'll say, here's a loan for 250,000. You will pay us 2,000 rand a month, whatever the installment works out to be, right? And then the client will pay the client. The client will then come back to you and pay you to do the installation, right? There's those are the two ways. I'm not going to spend time on what are the different types of solutions. I think you guys are the experts around off-grid and grid-tied and hybrid model and what what those do. But basically, it's just to say if it's got to do with alternative energy solutions, we do it. It could be a generator. We've got clients who didn't buy solar per se or didn't finance a solar solution, but they wanted to finance a generator, right? A big generator or a couple of generators. We do that. We've also got clients where it's not related to electricity. It's related to how you clean water. So borehole, setting up boreholes and clean water, filtration and whatnot. Anything that has to do with alternative, sustainable, so sourcing of energy, we finance, right? So your clients might come to you for electricity, but actually they also have plans to do a borehole in the yard, and they need to buy a Jojo tank and the filtration thing or whatever. And maybe you're not the one who does that, but you've got somebody you work with who does that. All that can be financed through FNB for the client to be able to get his solar and to get his borehole going or any alternative source of energy funding that they need for that engagement. The other alternative is that it doesn't have to be in the form of solar specific finance. So we've got a department called asset-based finance, which borrows to clients based on the assets they want to fund. Now, a lot of our clients, asset-based finance is basically what it says. It's financing of any type of asset. There are limitations, but a lot of them are in there. So whether you want to buy a fleet of trucks or bakkies or whatever the case is, or scooters because you do deliveries, we finance that. Whether you agricultural plants, mining equipment, you name it. Retail and hospitality, if you are cooking, it's your fridges in the kitchen or stoves, whatever that has to do with your business, we finance that asset, right? Doctors come to us for scans and whatnot, everything there. So some clients can come to us under this umbrella and say, I want to asset finance. And then they will tell us to say, the assets I want to finance are worth 3 million and they're coming from China, for example, because you've done a big order of solar panels from China. That's fine. We finance it under asset-based finance, and we will even facilitate the getting of the goods from another country into the country, past customs, all the way to a delivery address that you give us, right? So it's not always going to look like solar finance is what I'm trying to say. Sometimes it looks like it comes in the form of asset-based finance. Customer wants to finance 10 inverters or 20 inverters because it's got a big deal that's coming up, right? Some clients give us purchase orders. So he's landed a deal with somebody and somebody said, yes, I'm happy for you to come and do an installation in our complex, and we need 20 inverters in the complex, and he's made an assessment to say he needs 100 solar panels, whatever the case is, and then he brings us the purchase order. Then we can finance back on the basis of the purchase order. We can, on that purchase order, we can go and source the solar panels for you if you don't know where to get them. We will go and find the inverters, the batteries, everything you need. We will fulfill, have it shipped to where you need it to be. You do the job. When you get paid, we will then take 2 or 3% off the top of that invoice being settled. But at least the job is done. You're working at getting a reputation going, where now you can put that in your CV as a job that you've done, and we can finance you from an invoicing perspective is another option. So if you've got a big invoice that is guaranteed, somebody said, I will definitely give you this job if you have these things, we will look at that invoice. right? It's especially easier when it's a big company, right? Or it's a big corporate company or whatever, blue chip entity. Then it's even easier. But because we know those guys, they bank with RMP, it's easy to plug in to verify the invoice. But other than that, we'll look at what size your invoice is, and usually we like to start at around 250,000 or up, but we are looking at starting lower in the upcoming months. I've already touched on commercial property finance, where solar sometimes comes in as well. From a personal banking, now we spoke about businesses and the needs of businesses and how you'd get business from businesses. And usually with businesses, it's big installations, it's big amounts. It's not a 250,000 rand installation, it's 2 million, it's 5 million, it's 10 million. That's why we borrow up to 50 million. It's kind of different with personal clients because they will shop around and find the best deal. They'll decide, somebody will talk to them about what system they need. They need to reach out to their home insurance and make sure it's updated. And we do give them advice on what they should look for when they look for an installer. So already, before I get to the slide around how do you qualify, you can already see there that it must be a certified installer, proof of installation and warranty. Inverters must be SSEG approved, right? So already we don't just give them the money. There is some tick box action things that we check for to make sure that we are, the correct level of compliance is achieved. In this personal space, the clients can apply for a loan, for example, and do their own installation. They've got a lot more flexibility, but also they can also come and apply for a solar loan specifically. They can attach it to the home loan, like I said earlier. They can do a security-based lending deal. They can do a personal loan, solar loan deal. There's a whole lot of options on a personal basis. So if your customers are individuals like Omi coming to you and saying, I want solar for my house, this is where those clients would play. This is where you would point those clients to say, Mr. Client, these are the options available to you. Go to FNB, get this kind of solar loan. We would then strike a deal with your client to make sure that we finance them for the solar solution that you have given them an invoice for. So to summarize, FNB offers both business and personal banking, solar and or alternative energy solutions funding for your customers, for your businesses, but also for yourselves as businesses, right? If you need to buy supplies or if you need it for yourself to put solar in your own business, there's a variety of options available from a funding approach. I did touch around the different ways that you can get your solar finance structured. There's also a wide variety available of alternative energy solutions, grid tied, off grid, you name it. You would potentially get business from both personal and business, right? So don't close yourself off to say, I only want business from individuals. You also get business from businesses. You also get business from personal individuals. You don't have to be part of the EPC panel, for example, to get business. You could get business from your customers, making sure that you point your customers to funding options that they can get so that they can be able to pay you, for example, right? And you are able to refer those clients to FNB for lending solutions or to their own bank if they prefer to go with their own bank and they're not banked with FNB. You can refer them if they've got a solar option, solar finance option. They can go that route. Now, for I suppose what everybody who's been patient up until this point has been waiting to see, get the criteria of. This is the EPC panel kind of qualification. This is what we look for, right? It used to be easier 2 years ago, I suppose, longer, but the industry is also learning a few things, right? And the other thing you need to remember is that once you become part of the EPC panel, you're not limited to individuals. You need to be fit enough to service big businesses as well, because we could get a business that needs 200 million in solar funding, right? So we try to measure, or we try to put a qualification criteria that allows us to be able to have that kind of database in there. P4 performance certificate from AREP, Association of Renewable Energy Practitioners, or a sub via PV green card, right? Obviously, I think that goes without saying. You need some green card. You need evidence of the Department of Labor registration of the electrician who is responsible for signing off the COCs for the installer, right? So you can't have a rogue electrician. All that means is you can't have a rogue electrician signing off on those certificates of compliances. That electrician needs to be registered with the Department of Labor. So we know that they are a proper certified electrician who's signing off on those certificates of compliance. A letter of good standing with the Department of Labor for obviously the person who's signing off doing that work. Installed track record as EPC with recently completed projects details. So if you've done projects that are more than 100 kilowatts, we want to see that history. So think of it like as a portfolio of evidence to say you've installed at this place and this place and that place, and this is how it looked and this is how it went. And, these are installations that you've done, so that there is a track record of things that you've been involved in that show that you have the necessary that shows that you have the necessary pedigree, you have the necessary qualifications to go and do these installations. Remember, there's a lot of risk with these guys because a house can burn down and the bank has to pay the full property because solar was installed incorrectly. So that's why they've put these measures in place to make sure that the people doing these installations are qualified. Details of the qualified QTI qualified technical individuals responsible for engineering the solution, right? Now, they don't have to be part of the EPC panel, but they could be outside of the EPC, but you still need their name, qualification, and position within or outside the PC, including their CV, right? So who's the person who's doing the engineering structuring of the solution that you do, and what qualifications does that person have is all that means, right? Who's doing it and what qualification do they have? Is it Omi, who is a banker, thinking he can now, go and do solar installations? No. And then years of relevant experience, of the people in that business. Obviously, if it's a business, we want years of experience. How long have they been doing installations? Did they start yesterday? Are they new to the market? Have they been 5 years, 10 years? Who have they worked with? Where did they learn? For example, we used to work with a bigger entity for 2-3 years. That's where we learned how to do it, or that's where we cut our teeth, got our experience. We are now a standalone entity, and this is, the portfolio of the evidence of the work that we do. And then obviously, if it's a business, we need annual financial statements to make sure that you guys are a well-run business in good we say a business in good standing, so that's why you need that. And then workmanship and other guarantees philosophy. What are your terms? What are your guarantee philosophy? Do you guarantee the work you do 12 months, 24 months? What is your philosophy around guarantees? Obviously, if somebody says we don't guarantee our work, it raises alarms, right? Because why would you not guarantee your work unless you don't trust the work you are doing yourself? So that's just to identify, to say, how confident are you in the work that you do? And there's no right or wrong answer there. It's just to say, what is your philosophy on guarantees? Some people will say we offer a 12-month guarantee. Some will say it's a 24-month. Some will say we offer a 10-year guarantee that nothing will go wrong here as long as we are the one who come to maintain it every 2 years or every 3 years or whatever the case is. What is your personal philosophy, your business's philosophy around guarantees when it relates to your work? And then obviously a list of who your go-to equipment manufacturers are, right? Just so that we know you are not buying you're not buying solar panels from dodgy suppliers that catch fire, when they get too hot, or you're not buying batteries from dodgy battery manufacturers that catch fire when they run too hot, that kind of stuff. So it's really just to make sure that the right things are in place with the right business that's got the right reputation to do the work that needs to be done. And if you are interested then in becoming part of the EPC panel and you meet this criteria, you've got this in place, I am going to share the pack with Kokedzo and the Nepoworx team, and maybe they can reshare these somewhere. Then you could reach out to myself. I do have a lady who does help facilitate these EPC panel qualification vet, that these things are in place, will engage you and walk you through the journey until you are registered. So if you are interested, do reach out to us, do reach out to me and let me know. And that's it from my side, Koketso. And yeah, I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you so much. I'm going to put down the presentation so that I maybe get a chance to focus on some questions that have been asked on the chat and see how I can best answer those.
Hi, Omi.
Hello.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time and also for doing this for us. Thanks everyone on the line for joining. I'm going to quickly go through to the questions that some people have asked, and then hopefully we can get through most, if not all of them on this. And then the rest that are on the that were asked we will send them through to Omi. He can answer at his own time because we've run out of time for a bit. So I'll just start. The first question we have, let me see if I can start from the top, is from Zim Nigati. It's Zanele Nigati, and she says she's a female plumber interested in becoming a vendor, service provider listed in the database. I'm guessing it's the panel. Could you please advise on application process? So I think because you've already touched on that,
Yes.
Zanele, if you do have any other question, then you can just reach out to us or through it to Omi, and then we will obviously get more details answered following what he's just said now for the panel. The next one is from Pride Silvemana from Zululo Electrical and Projects, and then he banks with FNB. He took a loan with FNB to fund his projects. Now the main contractor is giving him problems with payments, and he is unable to pay loans. So he's asking what must he do. He feels like the company got paid because he was doing services for a giant company, even though he's a small company. So he says, please assist.
Yeah, it's probably not something I can help on this platform. It's like an engagement I have to have on the side just to understand and get more details around what happened and how we can help.
All right, okay.
It also sounds like there might be legal things there that don't necessarily have to do with the bank, but I mean, I'm happy to help. But can we maybe take that conversation offline? I'm happy for him to reach out to me via email if he can, and then maybe I'll then engage him accordingly.
All right, okay. We've taken down Cesar's email address. So what we'll do is that we'll get his question through to you and his details, and then you can engage offline.
Awesome, no problem.
All right, okay. The next one is from Joshua at Etna Labs, and they provide monitoring and reporting portfolios for commercial. So he says they work a lot. Oh, well, he says you can imagine you work a lot with SMMEs. Is there an example or case study of business you personally have seen in your role that has grown from small to quite big? And what is something that has stood out for you from that business or about that entrepreneur?
Sure, I've got many. Um, yeah, look, I've got many in this field, but also across other industries as well. And it just goes back to some of the elements I spoke to about managing how you scale your business, right? A lot of these businesses, they grow very quickly. And we have to reach out to them and say, slow down, you are growing too quickly. Some people think that that is a good thing, right? But actually there is the wrong kind of fast growth, right? You almost want to make sure a business is growing quick, but it's growing the right kind of quick that you can keep up with capacity demands and whatnot, right? Otherwise, you don't give your business enough time to be profitable. So what impressed me about some of these examples that I would mention here is that at some point these business owners made a deliberate call to walk away from certain business, right? So and that it's again speaks to you need to understand your business and where it is, because if you take on the wrong kind of business at the wrong time, it could collapse your whole business, right? And I made an example and I said you can't go from manufacturing or selling 50 candies in your mom's garage to all of a sudden having to supply all Pick and Pays and ShopRites with 5 million stock suites. Overnight, there must be places where you can say, too big for me. I'm not ready yet. and walk away from it, right? And pace yourself correctly. That's all it is. And then make sure you manage the demands that your business has on you so that it doesn't fall over. I don't want to say more than that. I mean, I could go into more and more examples about this, but I hope that just gives some nuggets around making sure you are very deliberate about staying close to your business as it grows and making sure that you don't stand in your business's way from growing, but also you don't get sucked into the temptation of biting off more than you can chew.
Yeah, all right, okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Omi. I hope that that answers that. The next one is from Little Honolo, at Mjoli Services. And the question is, and I think you did touch on this, Omi, but some of them we can just brush through, maybe because obviously, as you are speaking, maybe it may have gone faster, but I think once you deal with the question hand in hand, it will assist. But the question says, how does FNB help with solar finance for clients who can't afford packages that they offer, and how does one register on the FNB as a service provider? I think you did answer this, but I don't know if you're able to just glance through it.
Yes, so I've already touched on the solutions we offer. So if a client can't, remember, we'll vet your client, not you, unless you are the client who needs the solar, but we'll vet your client. Your client must still have the right affordability and whatnot. They can attach it to the bond. It can be a standalone finance deal. Depends also whether it's a business client or it's a personal client. Then we have different vehicles, but there's different methods where they pay premiums per month instead of paying a huge lump sum of 250,000. We offer those solar solutions. In terms of qualifying to be, I think the second question was, how do you qualify to be part of the panel? Okay.
Yes. And I know you've already answered that one.
Yeah. So at the end, if that criteria that you saw, you are confident that you meet that criteria, please reach out to me. I will get a lady who looks after onboarding new people onto the list is concerned. She will reach out to you and do the necessary, but I'm the gate to that. So if you are interested, send me an email.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Omi. Most of the questions, I think we've touched through all the questions in the chat box right now. If there are any other questions, then we'll get them through to you after that. But for the guys on the line, we do want to take a picture. So if you can please do put your cameras on. And then if you do have any other questions, you can obviously send them through to us at Nepoworx, and then we'll get Obi to answer for you as well. So if you can please put on your cameras quickly, and then we will just take a picture of the session, and then we'll conclude our session. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, Koketso, did you guys enable the cameras for everybody? We can't hear you, Koketso, if you're talking.
Even now, my mic is unmuted.
Oh, okay, now I can hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was saying to Lamla that I think your own camera, your laptop camera is off. Because the Teams camera is on. I can see that. Faisal, Naftali, Matiani, Ezra and Kenneth. I see Gila, Ben, Pride. Thank you for having your cameras on. Bridget Matlala, Tandiwe, Mpo, Putaling, Zanele, please put your cameras on. Hey. You got them.
Maybe the ladies are still doing hair or touching up their faces.
All right, okay. We got the ones we needed. All right, okay. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for your time. I'm not gonna keep you for long. Oh, there's Lamla. Thank you so much. We're gonna do just one more with Lamla. I see Tandu is on now. Butilo is on. Mpo is also on. Thank you. Ezra, thank you. Right. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Thanks. I see Pride is also on. I think we got the pictures. Thank you for joining. If you do have any other questions, please do send them to us at Nepoworx. You can send to koketo@nepoworx.com or info@nepoworx.com or sibusisiwe@nepoworx.com. But also you do have our details. Also in the group, we can communicate and ask more questions, and then we'll share details with Omi. But thanks again for your time. We will be in touch again for the next webinar as well. Look out for it. That's coming soon. And I think it's quite exciting on marketing and comms and social media. So I think that will also help because we do have a course that goes on that as well. So I think that will be even more exciting as well. Thanks again, Omi, for your time. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Pleasure.
Until next
Thanks,
time.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Then just end the event.
Yeah, they're going.